With that, we move into our next segment, which is our first segment for day 2. We have power-packed keynote addresses, and we have a bunch of extremely interesting speakers coming up. The first keynote is by Fortinet on the convergence of networking and security, the transformative shift driving SASE. For delivering this, we would like to invite Mr. Vivek Srivastava, Country Sales Manager, India and SARC, Fortinet. We'd like to put our hands together and invite him on stage.
Thank you so much. If I could have the clicker, please. Before I start my session, I would surely want to congratulate DSCI for 15 years. And I've been part of many such events, many such meets. And trust me, DSCI has come a very, very long way. Let me come back to the next 15, 20 minutes that I want to spend on the subject today. Primarily talking about convergence. When I was looking at the agenda of the summit, the 2 days, I saw one of the focus area was also convergence of technologies. And mostly you'll see the convergence that we have been witnessing are primarily either driven by the digital acceleration that we have been witnessing, or the hybrid workplace environment that we have embraced, the cloud adoption. In many ways, we have also seen convergence of technologies which are driven by our adversaries. The way they use the modern technologies and techniques to attack us. The technologies are coming together to address that piece as well. I want to pick up one specific aspect of convergence that we are seeing for last many years, which is the convergence of two mega technologies, cybersecurity as well as enterprise networking. This has been taking place for about 10 years. If I can have the chart, then probably it will be easier for people to look at it. Yeah, so I was talking about this convergence. Primarily, if you see the relevance of the converged technology, we preferably call it secure networking rather than calling it a converged technology, secure networking. The relevance of secure networking today to the larger parlance is kind of poised at a place where it's slightly below the enterprise networking domain. But Gartner predicts that by 2030, it will actually be taking over the regular enterprise networking domain. That means it will be 50+% participation from the secure networking place as well. I'll talk about what concept we're talking about primarily from secure networking perspective. I'll give some idea there, how we understand secure networking. But let's understand some mega trends. The mega trends that we have seen primarily from the compute side, primarily from the proliferation of the devices side, the way we have adopted the technologies per se. I think from mainframes to servers to cloud, and now we are seeing a mega trend around compute, which is around the edges. The edge being created, edge computing taking place, at a very, very rapid pace. This is also driven by primarily the IoTs. The one of the fueling factor for the convergence of security as well as networking is also the edge. The explosion of edge, I will say, rather. We are living in a world which is, kind of created with billions of edges now. With a completely transformed distributed networks is what we are currently living in with. Underlying this mega trend are certain shifts. Which are actually happening. And this is something that we all will, witness in our day-to-day life that's being changed, for us. First and foremost is the way we work, the workplace transformation. Hybrid workforce. I think probably a couple of years back, we were discussing what will be the return to office, how the workplace, probably 2 years down look like post-COVID. But I think we all embraced it. Most of the organization, in fact, 94% of the organizations have embraced the hybrid workforce. That means your assets, your users, and your data is everywhere, not necessarily in your campus. The second piece that you see is the adoption of SaaS. The adoption has been so rapid that today SaaS amounts to almost 50% of the software market. That's a massive adoption. The third piece that we see because of the edges, the traditional VPN structures or the architectures that we have created are actually now giving way to a new age architecture for access, which is based on access. And that access is primarily trust-based. That's the another piece that we are looking at. One more, transformative shift that we are looking at is primarily the platformization, or you can also look at it in parallel with the vendor consolidation. Organizations are actually on their way to simplify their architectures, their security architectures, consolidate the vendors, and primarily focus on the capabilities that they want to achieve out of their cybersecurity infrastructure. 75% of the organizations are already, have embarked on this journey when they're looking at these, leveraging platform primarily for cybersecurity delivery perspective. Now, if we look at all these, mega trends and the shifts that we are seeing, it actually changes the way we need to probably construct or architect our new next stage WAN. The WAN has completely evolved because of the billions of edges, because of the connectivity that has been introduced. And let me give you some data points, from the WAN perspective as well. Gartner predicts that in next, couple of years, there will be 60% more locations which will have internet-enabled WAN. That means we have lot many locations, lot many edges there. Now, the first and foremost imperative on this WAN is, this edge is, or rather I would say expectation from this edge is, that security and your WAN capability have to come together. They have to converge because there are so many edges. You will have to have that simplified approach to ensure that you are able to not only extend the security capability to every edge that you have created, but the WAN is also intelligent per se. The second piece is the edge computing, which is now enabling multiple branches for the organizations. We will also have to bring in the security aspect into it. That means your branch security has to be not only made advanced level of security, but it has to be simplified from the operations standpoint as well. The workplace transformation that we talked about, the hybrid workforce, it will all depend, the success of that depends on how the experience is for the user. That experience for the user, while you extend security, should not go down. That should not deteriorate. So you should ensure that the workplace transformation also is giving you the user experience that you always, thought of. Now, one specific piece that I want to probably talk about, which kind of drives, the whole, changes around the WAN, is not just the security, but also the application resilience. Your WAN has to be intelligent enough to understand, identify the application, and also understand at that point in time which application takes precedence over what. So it's not just the availability of the application and performance of the application, but the intelligence as well of how those applications are being treated when it's, when the users are accessing that as well. Goes without saying, all of these infrastructure that you create, all of these, edges that you create in your environment, it has to be cloud friendly. You cannot take that benefit away when you create new architecture. The cloud extension should be possible at every single edge per se. And when we look at these expectations for the new edge or next gen, edge architecture, we believe when security and networking come together, that addresses these challenges. Let me probably give you a view of how we understand what secure networking is. The normal connectivity that we talk about is primarily IP, based. You extend the understanding of the identities or the users or the application or the context or the location into that connectivity. You are able to take a lot more decisions on that connection, and that's where you can take your security decisions as well, and that becomes the secure connectivity. And when you start leveraging that, you are able to deliver, the capabilities that you wanted for the next gen edge that you have created. First and foremost, start with very simple, different control points. Distributed edges, distributed control points, all controlled centrally. The second piece is the application, awareness, the application resiliency built into the infrastructure, now extended to the edge, because your edge understand applications very clearly and can actually, optimize the application uses there and the experience for the users. All the premises, extended even to the remotest of the branches, you can extend the same uniform level of security, leveraging your secure connectivity, your secure networking to those branches. The users, the secure users that you wanted to have in your environment, that capability now becomes very, very practical, for you to be delivering to your employee base per se. Now, the last thing that I would talk about is the extension to the new trust-based, infrastructure, new trust-based architecture. If you want to actually adopt the, let's say, zero trust architecture in your environment, with a secure networking concept, it becomes much easier because every single node in your environment understands that piece, understands the trust piece, and you can enforce controls there as well. In fact, there are a lot many other benefits that come in, a lot many other advantages that come in when you look at the converged security and networking infrastructure. And of course, I would say very simple is that visibility that you build for your entire environment, the consistent level of control that you build for your entire environment, the operational efficiency that you bring in. It's so easy to manage single console with all the different aspects of daily operations with one single console as compared to hopping into multiple consoles as well. One of the key factor that I would say why it also becomes very, very crucial, the converged networking become very, very crucial, is many organizations now are looking at their performance and they are measuring themselves primarily on the point of what is the user experience. And the digital user experience is a very important factor in the success of the organization. With the converged networking and security approach, you are also able to actually measure the digital experience of the user end to end. That's another factor that becomes important piece to be addressed here. I'll give you one example of when you put this all together from the architecture standpoint, and that is what we do from Fortinet standpoint. I'll give you a view on how we are leveraging the secure networking for delivering the SASE capability, the secure access services edge capability to the environments that we serve. Primarily what we have done, we have of course leveraged the converged technology. We've brought in the capabilities of networking and security together, whether it's a cloud web gateway capability, whether it's a zero-trust network access capability, whether it's a distributed firewalling capability, whether it's defining WAN securely, that kind of capability and application intelligence capability, all that has been brought into one single architecture, which is the SASE architecture. This architecture now extends the high-performing and intelligent connectivity to multiple different domains of your environment, whether it's your secure users or hybrid users at different locations, whether these are your secure edges that you have created or branches that you have created, so much so that you can extend the capability by extending it to the branches which actually are kind of a micro branch or kind of a branch in a box. You can extend the SASE capability there as well. And centrally, with one UI, you can actually manage all these capabilities, leveraging these infrastructure to let your users get to whether they want to get to a SaaS application, whether they want to access your data center, whether they want to access the hyperscaler infrastructure, or whether they want to access the typical web per se. It becomes so very simple. It's just because the security and networking have come together and the entire architecture understands the piece that are required from security enforcement per se. Primarily, this focuses on only three key benefits. First and foremost, that you are able to consistently extend security controls in the entire infrastructure for you. The second thing is you are able to ensure that you are delivering the user experience that you always wanted to. This security, when you enforce security, there is no degradation on user experience per se. And the last piece, of course, is the efficiency. When all these things come together in one single control and with one single UI, you have one single team which can manage and kind of deliver the efficiency across the entire environment. If you see last few years, the evolution on this phase, whether it's about cloud proxy or cloud web gateway, then to zero trust network architecture, to SSC, to SASE, to SD-WAN, primarily the edge, technology have evolved a lot. And this has also been very overwhelming for many people, per se. The people who are not purely into cybersecurity, the core business is something else, for them to understand and make sense of the entire evolution at times becomes very overwhelming because there's so much of offering available. What we thought that probably we should do some exercise, from our side as well. And the DSCI team and Fortinet team came together to actually write a point of view paper. That point of view paper primarily actually gets deeper into these concepts of convergence of networking and security. It understands the trends. It understands what it means to the organization. It understands how these convergence benefits can be leveraged in the different kind of environments. All that exercise has been done. The idea is to primarily give you a kind of a referral document that you can use to understand, where you are in the journey, what are the technologies available to you, what are the functionalities available to you, on how you can, leverage that in your environment. And this also kind of makes recommendations for you. This also kind of makes recommendation which can be short-term and long-term recommendation. So at this point in time, I will take the opportunity to thank DSCI team, for giving us this opportunity to work with them, in writing this document. And this POV document has not been made public yet. We thought this will be the occasion. We will, make it public. We'll unveil the document. Let me take the liberty of inviting Vinayak on stage and Urvashi from Fortinet team, who has also been spearheading this, to come and help us unveil this document. Please. Thank you so much, and thanks for your patient hearing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Make sure to get your hands on the report. There you go, transformative shifts in cyber workforce and hybrid ways and mechanisms of working, SaaS adoption, next-gen edge evolution, and an overview on security and networking and the associated challenges. Thank you so much once again, Mr. Vivek.